So my strategy was very specific to the weak areas that I had, and also the mock analysis. So I can go step by step across these three sections that I had. Okay. The first section that was VARC for me. So VARC, I felt it was more about comprehension. So it doesn't matter if you are not a good reader, or if you're a good reader. Maybe you have a huge command over English, but that really doesn't matter when you are solving VARC. So for VARC, I found two things to be very important. First part was you're comprehending what you are trying to read, and retention power, like how much you can recall and put in your mind while you're reading while you are reading those passages. So these are the two things that I worked around 4 to 5 RCs per day. So that really helped. For LRDI, it was more about practice and the theory. So the previous year, I hadn't done a lot of theories. I had solved maybe 100, 150 LRDI sets and gone to the exam. So that doesn't really help. You have to have the knowledge of the basics when you are doing the LRDI. So by basics, I say there are 8 to 9 units. You have the cubes units, you have the Venn diagrams units, the 3 set, 4 set Venn diagrams. Sorry. Then you also have the other quantitative reasoning questions in LRDI, which are actually one of the prime questions that are coming since the past 2 years, the quant-based LRDIs. And QA, I think QA is something that everyone would put most of their time during the prep into QA. So the portion is very vast. So you'll have to you'll have to choose your battles very wisely when you solve the QA questions, because you would need to know the basics of all the sections, and you should also know at depth for some sections which are your favorite, or which in which you feel comfortable in, so that you do not miss out on any of the basic questions, the easy marks that we say in CAT, and you are also able to solve a certain set of questions so that you could reach to 99 percentile. So for me, it was not the case, because I faltered in the time, speed, distance questions. But yeah, that's what I would like to say for QA. From the strategy perspective, I would say the mocks and the mock analysis are really important. So from May, June, and July, it was entirely brushing up the theories, doing a lot of questions. Even till August mid, I did the same thing. From August mid, I started my mocks and my sectionals. So I took a cumulative around 25 or 26 mocks. I know it was a bit less, but I think what's really important in these mocks is that how do you analyze these mocks? I mean, from a mock perspective, if you are giving a 2 hour mock, you should keep around 4 hours in hand to analyze that. So similarly, if you have a 3 hours mock, you'll have to put 6 hours in hand to analyze that. So for each mock, you'll have to keep that frame of time with yourself, and you'll have to analyze it very deeply. So that will actually improvise your score and performances, not the exact, not by taking 50, 60 marks. So the analysis is really important, and you will be able to see the difference once you reach 10, 12 marks. You will be able to see a bit of a difference there. Then I think November was all about taking a lot of sectionals and mocks, working on the weakness parts of it. If the students are starting preparation right now, I would tell them to break it in 2 halves, 2.5 months and 2.5 months. So starting from now, the next 2.5 months should be clearing out all the basics that you have. Covering as much as possible of the syllabus. Okay, I'll advise you not to take the mocks right now, because that would be demotivating for you. So this has to be kept in mind, that the mocks which are prepared, the makers of these mock try to prepare it for these students who are actually fully versed with the syllabus, and they actually put difficult questions in it. It's not very easy. Any of the mocks are not prepared very easy, and even if it is easy, the percentiles will go up accordingly. So if you are starting preparation right now, please clear all your basics, starting from your VARC to the parajumpers to your quants to the basic LRDIs. Clear it out in 2.5 months. Prepare, do a lot of questions altogether with that. For me, it was like during the weekends, you can do a lot of questions, or you can keep Fridays, 3-4 days for questions and 3-4 days for theory. And after the next 2.5 months should be entirely mocks and mock analysis. So once you do your mock analysis, you will have an understanding of which subject you are not, very comfortable in, or which unit you are not very comfortable in. So then you can, go back to your notes, or you can go back to the drawing board and find out that what should I do better, what questions should I do more. So that's how it will work out. Yes, because if you see in the recent years, all the top colleges of India are trying to have a global reach. They are highlighting that they are at such positions in the global rankings. I can give you some examples like Excel and even the top IIMs. They are taking students from GMAT itself. Okay, so there's this idea of making I feel that there's this idea of making CAT a more standardized examination so that they can actually have more diversity also on the batch, and it can also appeal to the entire international standards. So I think, yeah, I agree with you, and I expect VARC to become a bit tougher, because if you have ever given the GMAT, you would know that their VARC is at a very higher level as compared to the CAT level. Even now, the section is quite tougher. So I expect the VARC section to get a bit tougher year on year. And the quant section, I think, is at a very par level. The CAT 2020 was a very par level question paper. So I don't expect the difficulty level of quant to go down this year. It might go a bit up. That's what I feel. I have actually given, I think, around 12 to 15 interviews. So apart from IIMs, I've also given the SIVM, NMIMS interviews, and all the other interviews that we have. Okay. So one thing that remains common across all the interviews is that they check how much patience a person has. So they will try to find out, your strong points and the weak points. So in the strong points, you will be good. So if you are, let's say, if you are an architect, so if they ask you a question on architecture, you will be good. You can, tell everything. Then they will ask you about general affairs. So maybe you would have read it. So they can go ahead and ask that. But then they'll ask you something that you're not very strong at, and they will be able to find it out because they have 20, 25 years of experience, and they also know when you speak, you make some mistakes. So they will catch on to those mistakes. So they really want to see how much patience you have and how well you can tackle these situations where you have a sticky situation in front of you, and how do you tackle it. So I'll tell you one question. So one of my friends, he was asked that tell me two features of a panda which no one knows. Okay, so this is a very sticky question. You don't know what to tell. I was asked that so I'm a computer gamer basically. So I was asked that what is the appropriate time that you should spend every day on a game, on a PC playing a game. What is the time that you think is appropriate? So these are some questions that gets very sticky, and you'll have to think a bit on the situation before saying that. So these things are really important from an interview perspective. Apart from having your own knowledge in your field, that's obviously important, and also the general affairs. I think that this CAT is not a sprint race. It's kind of a marathon. Okay. So I really had a lot of support from my parents, my mother and father, who used to, they used to see that if I'm not really doing well, then maybe they would come and support me. Apart from that, in my free times, let's say if I am very exhausted, I don't want to do a lot of things, then I would want to watch a movie, maybe not a very long movie, but let's say 1.5 hours movie or 1 hour 45 minutes movie. I was a bit inclined to watch the animated movies because they are funny enough, and they reduce your stress for some time. Okay, so that's how I used to tackle my anxieties when I had. And yeah, you will have a lot of anxieties by the time you come to November. Even one mock, if you are not doing very well, then you might feel a lot of stress. So you will have to tackle it. You will have to handle it in your own ways. Some might sing, some might watch movies. And I would advise you not to start any new series though, because that goes very long. Okay.